Hey everyone, welcome back to Video Swift. It's been a while since we've had to do one of these, and hopefully we only have to do this one. Right now, the plan is that this week, obviously, we're doing Video Swift. Next week, we'll do a Zoom meeting, and then hopefully we'll be back in person for the lock-in on New Year's Eve. Stay tuned on some updates for that. Hopefully you're all staying safe and healthy right now. So you can join us for the lock-in. With that being said, let's get started on the lesson for today. You might remember that we've been talking about stories of Scripture. Last week we talked a little bit about Isaac, the son of Abraham and Sarah. We went through the story of the binding of Isaac when he was almost sacrificed, and we touched briefly on his later life. Briefly because there's not really much recorded about his later life in the Bible. We saw that he got married to a woman named Rebecca, and that after not being able to have children for a long time, they prayed to God about it, and Rebecca conceived twins. These twins didn't get along even before they were born, and they fought in Rebecca's womb. That's where we stopped last time, and that's where we're going to pick up this time. So when those twins that were fighting in Rebecca's womb were born, they were named Esau and Jacob. Esau was born first. Jacob came out right behind, holding on to Esau's heel. The name Jacob in Hebrew actually means heel grabber. So if you have any friends named Jacob, feel free to call them that. As the boys grew up, Esau became a skilled hunter and a man of the field, while Jacob grew to be a quiet man who lived in the tent. Esau was Isaac's favored son, but Rebekah favored Jacob. And Jacob and Esau didn't always get along. In fact, one time Jacob tricked Esau out of his birthright. Let's actually read that passage. This is found in Genesis chapter 25, verses 29 through 34. Again, that's Genesis 25, verses 29 through 34. Listen to this. Once when Jacob was cooking a stew, Esau came in from the field, and he was famished. Esau said to Jacob, "Let me eat some of that red stuff, for I am famished." Therefore he was called Edom. Jacob said, "First sell me your birthright." Esau said, "I'm about to die. Of what use is a birthright to me?" Jacob said, "Swear to me first." So he swore to him and sold his birthright to Jacob. Then Jacob gave Esau bread and lentil stew, and he ate and drank and rose and went on his way. Thus Esau despised his birthright. So Esau's birthright here means his right to be recognized as the firstborn. It was the privileges and the rights accorded to him as the firstborn son, and he sold it for a bowl of stew. Jacob used his brother's hunger against him to buy the rights accorded to the firstborn son. This is just one of the stories about Jacob taking something that should have been Esau's. The big one is what we're going to look at next. This takes place a while later. This story is found in Genesis chapter 27. We'll start with verse 1. So listen to this. When Isaac was old and his eyes were dim so that he could not see, he called his elder son Esau and said to him, "My son." And he answered, "Here I am." He said, "See, I am old. I do not know the day of my death. Now then, take your weapons, your quiver and your bow, and go out to the field and hunt game for me. Then prepare for me savory food such as I like, and bring it to me to eat, so that I may bless you before I die." Now Rebekah was listening when Isaac spoke to his son Esau. So when Esau went to the field to hunt for game and bring it, Rebekah said to her son Jacob, "I heard your father say to your brother Esau, 'Bring me game and prepare for me savory food to eat, that I may bless you before the Lord before I die.' Now therefore, my son, obey my word as I command you. Go to the flock, get me 2 choice kids, so that I may prepare from them savory food for your father, such as he likes, and you shall take it to your father to eat, so that he may bless you before he dies." But Jacob said to his mother Rebekah, "Look, my brother Esau is a hairy man, and I am a man of smooth skin. Perhaps my father will feel me, and I shall soon be mocking him, and bring a curse on myself and not a blessing." His mother said to him, "Let your curse be on me, my son. Only obey my word and go, get them for me." So he went and got them and brought them to his mother, and his mother prepared savory food such as his father loved. Then Rebekah took the best garments of her elder son Esau, which were with her in the house, put them on her younger son Jacob, and she put the skins of the kids on his hands and on the smooth part of his neck. Then she handed the savory food and the bread that she had prepared to her son Jacob. So he went into his father and said, "My father." And he said, "Here I am. Who are you, my son?" Jacob said to his father, "I am Esau, your firstborn. I have done as you told me. Now sit up and eat of my game so that you may bless me." But Isaac said to his son, "How is it that you have found it so quickly, my son?" He answered, "Because the Lord your God granted me success." Then Isaac said to Jacob, "Come near that I may feel you, my son, to know whether you are really my son Esau or not." So Jacob went up to his father Isaac, who felt him, and said, "The voice is Jacob's voice, but the hands are the hands of Esau." He did not recognize him because his hands were hairy like his brother Esau's hands. So he blessed him. He said, "Are you really my son Esau?" He answered, "I am." And then he said, "Bring it to me that I may eat of my son's game and bless you." So he brought it to him, and he ate. And he brought him wine, and he drank. Then his father Isaac said to him, "Come near and kiss me, my son." So he came near and kissed him, and he smelled the smell of his garments, and blessed him, and said, "Ah, the smell of my son is like the smell of a field that the Lord has blessed. May God give you of the dew of heaven, and of the fatness of the earth, and plenty of grain and wine. Let people serve you, and nations bow down to you. Be lord over your brothers, and may your mother's sons bow down to you. Cursed be everyone who curses you, and blessed be everyone who blesses you." As soon as Isaac had finished blessing Jacob, when Jacob had scarcely gone out from the presence of his father Isaac, his brother Esau came in from his hunting. He also prepared savory food and brought it to his father. And he said to his father, "Let my father sit up and eat of his son's game so that you may bless me." His father Isaac said to him, "Who are you?" He answered, "I am your firstborn son Esau." Then Isaac trembled violently and said, "Who was it then that hunted game and brought it to me, and I ate it all before you came? And I have blessed him. Yes, and blessed he shall be." When Esau heard his father's words, he cried out with an exceedingly great and bitter cry, and said to his father, "Bless me also, father." But he said, "Your brother came deceitfully, and he has taken away your blessing." Esau said, "Is he not rightly named Jacob? For he has supplanted me these 2 times. He took away my birthright, and look, now he has taken away my blessing." Then he said, "Have you not reserved a blessing for me?" Isaac answered Esau, "I have already made him your lord, and I have given him all his brothers as servants, and with grain and wine I have sustained him. What then can I do for you, my son?" Esau said to his father, "Have you only one blessing, father? Bless me also, father." And Esau lifted up his voice and wept. Then his father Isaac answered him, "See, away from the fatness of the earth shall your home be, and away from the dew of heaven on high. By your sword you shall live, and you shall serve your brother. But when you break loose, you shall break his yoke from your neck." Now Esau hated Jacob, because of the blessing with which his father had blessed him. And Esau said to himself, "The days of mourning for my father are approaching. Then I will kill my brother Jacob." But the words of her elder son Esau were told to Rebekah. So she sent and called her younger son Jacob, and said to him, "Your brother Esau is consoling himself by planning to kill you. Now therefore, my son, obey my voice. Flee at once to my brother Laban in Haran, and stay with him a while, until your brother's fury turns away, until your brother's anger against you turns away, and he forgets what you have done to him. Then I will send and bring you back from there. Why should I lose both of you in one day?" So, at his mother's urging, Jacob tricked his blind father into giving him the blessing that was meant for Esau. He put sheepskins on his arms to mimic Esau's hairiness. He put on Esau's clothes and told his blind father that he was Esau. And Isaac believed him and gave him the blessing. When Esau returned and found out what Jacob had done, he was furious and said that when Isaac died, he would kill Jacob. Rebekah heard about this and had Jacob leave to go back to her family to find a wife over there. So Jacob left, and he escaped from Esau's anger for the time being. After Jacob left, Esau then married Ishmael's daughter. You might remember Ishmael was Isaac's half-brother. It was Abraham's son from Sarah's servant. So Esau married Ishmael's daughter. Now, while Jacob was on his way to his mother's land, he stopped at a place called Haran, which is near the place where he was going. While he was sleeping there, he had a vision of angels going up and down on a ladder or a stairway that went to heaven. And then God appeared next to him and told him that he would give Jacob and his descendants the land on which he was lying, and that God would be with him. He extended that promise made to Abraham to go through Jacob in his line. When Jacob awoke, he built an altar there, and he called it Bethel, because God was there. Bethel means house of God in Hebrew. Jacob vowed to follow God for the rest of his life. Now, as Jacob was nearing his destination, he saw a woman named Rachel, and he loved her. He asked her father, Laban, for her hand, and Laban said that Jacob could marry her if he worked for him for 7 years. Jacob agreed, and let's see what happens next. This is found in Genesis 29, verses 21 through 30. Again, that's Genesis 29, verses 21 through 30. Now, this passage we're about to read takes place after Jacob worked for Laban for 7 years. Listen to this. Then Jacob said to Laban, "Give me my wife, that I may go into her, for my time is completed." So Laban gathered together all the people of the place and made a feast. But in the evening he took his other daughter, Leah, and brought her to Jacob, and he went into her. Laban gave his maid Zilpah to his daughter Leah to be her maid. When morning came, it was Leah, and Jacob said to Laban, "What is this you have done to me? Did I not serve with you for Rachel? Why then have you deceived me?" Laban said, "This is not done in our country, giving the younger before the firstborn. Complete the week of this one, and we will give you the other also in return for serving me another 7 years." Jacob did so and completed her week. Then Laban gave him his daughter Rachel as a wife. Laban gave his maid Bilhah to his daughter Rachel to be her maid. So Jacob went into Rachel also, and he loved Rachel more than Leah. He served Laban for another 7 years. So Laban pulled a bait and switch on Jacob, right? Instead of giving Rachel to Jacob as his wife, as he had promised, he gave his older daughter, Leah, and then to marry Rachel, Jacob had to work for another 7 years, which he did. After that, God saw that Jacob favored Rachel at the expense of Leah, so he opened Leah's womb and made Rachel barren. Rachel was upset that she couldn't give Jacob children and gave him her maid, Bilhah, to stand in her place. And Jacob had 2 children with Bilhah. Eventually, Jacob did have children with Rachel as well, and also with Leah's maid after Leah was no longer having children. Jacob had a total of 12 children, but his favorite was Joseph, which was Rachel's firstborn. Eventually, God told Jacob that it was time to return to his homeland. So he took his entire family and left Laban and his people behind to return home. He sent messengers with gifts to his brother Esau to try to appease him, and the messengers returned with news that Esau was coming to meet him with 400 men. Now, Jacob was scared that Esau was coming to kill him. So he split his people up into 2 groups so that if Esau killed one group, the other could escape. They came to a river, and Jacob sent his family across, and he was left alone on the other side. And then the angel of the Lord appeared and wrestled with Jacob all night long. When Jacob wouldn't let go, he struck him on the hip. And Jacob still wouldn't let go until the angel of the Lord blessed him. So he did, and Jacob went on his way. Now, when Jacob and Esau met soon after that, Esau ran up to him and embraced him. They made up, and all was forgiven, and they lived together for a while after that. Now, that's actually where we're going to stop for today. We're going to leave it there. Next time, we're going to talk a little bit about Jacob's children. And maybe you've heard the story of Joseph before. Maybe you know some of the basics, but we're going to dive into that next time. So we're going to go maybe a little more in depth than what you've done before. So remember, next week we will have a Zoom call. So look for that link to go out sometime late this coming week. That will be our normal Swift time, so the Zoom call will be at 5 o'clock. And we're gonna try to play some games on Zoom. So we're gonna try to figure that out. Hopefully it'll work, but we're gonna play some games on Zoom next week and have a lesson. So next week at 5, look for that link. And again, we will, barring any other COVID developments, meet in person for the lock-in on the 31st. So until next time, stay safe, stay healthy.